this video, we're giving you a step-by-step guide to catching one of the ocean's most prized fish, the wahoo. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We are going to be covering everything you need to know, from the perfect trolling speed to the most effective lures to the gear and tackle that won't fail you when you're targeting these fish, and exactly what depth you should be in to target these wahoo. Let's start with the trolling speed, one of the most important factors when targeting these wahoo. These fish are some of the fastest fish in the ocean, reaching speeds up to 48 miles per hour. That's why the ideal trolling speed for these fish is between 9 to 12 miles per hour. But don't be afraid to switch it up when you're out fishing. If you're not getting any bites, drop it down to around 7 to 9 miles per hour to see if you can get those fish to bite. If you're fishing in South Florida, most anglers don't high speed troll for these wahoo. But if you're in the Bahamas, that's a whole different story. Out there, high speed trolling is the go-to method. And if you want a high speed troll out in the Bahamas, I recommend trolling anywhere from 12 to 18 knots. Now that we've covered trolling speed, let's talk about what really gets wahoo to strike, the most effective lures. Now let's get into the most effective lures to get these fish to bite. I'll be totally honest with you guys, I've never had much luck with the diving plugs, and I know there's a lot of hype around these plugs. A lot of people will say they work, and sometimes they do, but in my experience, there are way better options when it comes to wahoo. The most effective lure by far in South Florida is the sea witch. For those of you that don't know, a sea witch is usually paired with a bonita strip, and that combo is absolutely deadly for wahoo. Island lures are also solid. We've caught a few wahoo on an island lure paired with a bonita strip. And on our last trip where we landed 5 wahoo, 4 of those fish actually hit a silver spoon, which was pretty shocking. If you're looking for fast action, I definitely recommend trying those spoons. Now, when you're using a sea witch, you want to run it on a planer. The planer takes your bait 30 to 40 feet deep right into that wahoo strike zone. And trust me, if you're serious about catching these fish, planers are the secret weapon to catching them. Nothing works better than a sea witch paired with a planer. If you're not looking to go through all the hassle of rigging planers and baits, Nomad makes a lure called the Mad Mac that works surprisingly well. It's a simple and effective option that's perfect if you want to keep things easy. One thing I love about these Mad Macs and the Yozuri Bonita trolling lures is that they can handle high speeds. You can troll them at 12 to even 15 knots with no problem, making them perfect for high speed trolling in the Bahamas, or running them far behind your planers. This makes them ideal for covering ground quickly and locating the fish fast. Just tie them straight to your leader and toss them out and let them get to work. No need for planers, no strips, no skirts, just simple and effective lures that will get the job done. Now that we've covered lures and the presentation you need to catch these fish, let's move on to the gear and tackle you'll need to land these fish. The gear and tackle really is the most important part of trolling. So let's start with the reels. The reels I use for dragging planers and catching these wahoo is a Shimano TLD50, and I've had this reel for 5 years and it still works great. Honestly, any big reel with solid drag should be able to get the job done. For rods, I always say if you're on a budget like I am, put the money into the reel and just get an average rod to pair it with. I usually go with a Bass Pro rod for trolling planers, and they run about $80 to $120, and that's a solid deal in my opinion, and I've never had an issue with them. If you guys are interested in these lures, rods, or reels, I'll have the links down in the description below. Now, I usually pair these reels with 80-pound braid. You can go with 60, but I like to go a little heavier just in case we ever get that triple-digit wahoo. From the braid, I run a Bimini twist to 100 feet of 60-pound mono as a top shot to our lure. You never want to just tie the lure right to the braid, you always want to have a top shot with your lure. And real quick, let's talk hooks and leaders. For wahoo, I typically use a 40 to 80-pound fluorocarbon leader at the very end of that top shot. A lot of people don't do this. I think fluorocarbon makes a huge difference. Ever since I switched to fluorocarbon, I've had a lot more fish bite. So I definitely think it's worth making the switch to fluorocarbon. Just add about 10 feet at the end of your mono. And sometimes on certain lures like the Mad Mac, I'll throw a short wire leader just so we don't get cut off by their teeth because these lures are expensive. For hooks, I recommend running a strong 7.0 to 9.0 Mustad hook. if you're going to be trolling a sea witch or an island lure. Also, make sure your drag is set properly. You don't want it too tight or that Wahoo's first run could snap your line. I usually keep it set just tight enough that I can barely pull it with my hand, and then adjust during the fight as needed. Drag is really important when you're fighting these fish because one hard run by these Wahoo could snap your line. One more thing, when you hook up, be extremely safe. These fish go wild once you gaff them. I recommend having fishing boots on and don't get too close to these fish after you stick them with a gaff. A trick my family always does when we're targeting these Wahoo is we keep 2 gaffs ready to go. If I miss the first shot when we have these Wahoo near the boat, my dad's right there to stick him with the second shot. Trust me, the most heartbreaking thing is losing a Wahoo boat side. And if you guys have any questions about the setup or if I missed anything, just drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you. Now let's jump into the final part of this video. Exactly what depth you should be targeting to catch these Wahoo. The best depth to target Wahoo in pelagic fish in general is between 100 to 350 feet of water. Knowing that, we usually zigzag in and out of that range while trolling. But don't just randomly troll once your spread is out. You want to pass over wrecks or any kind of structure, especially those deeper ones, around 200 feet of water, because Wahoo often hang near them. And here's a tip, if you hook a Wahoo off one of those deeper wrecks, circle back around and troll over that same spot again. They usually travel in schools, so you might be able to get another 1 or 2 fish. Now that we've gone over the basics for catching Wahoo, you're ready to head offshore and chase down one of the most prized fish in the ocean. We hope you enjoyed this how-to video, and we hope to see you guys in the next Barjack's Family Fishing video.